to the Legion Commander that we saw have a tremendous amount of success yesterday. Even with triple counter picks and such, they know that the Chinese teams play this hero very, very well. Just don't want to give it to him. And same thing with the Venge, actually. It's kind of that hero that has been given a lot of attention from the Western teams towards the Eastern teams, just because it's flexible, it's really good in team fights, and it kind of does everything but wave clear, which is really what you want.
Yeah, I mean, that vengeful spirit we saw yesterday can be a valuable pick because you don't know exactly what position it's going to be, right? Could be that position 1, could be the support, and that was one of the reasons why we saw Newbee falter yesterday against Digital Chaos, the old Onyx squad. Mason's vengeful spirit, I think, had a pretty dominant performance in at least one of those games, so it's being played all over the place. A lot of teams going with that, but here we go. EG, right back to the classic first pick Magnus.
Can't really go wrong, honestly. Again, flexible hero, can go mid, can go off lane. Empower is still a hell of a skill, even after the nerfs. The Nature's Prophet ban, EG was running it the other day. They actually ran it, I think, 2, maybe 3 games?
Really?
And Universe is obviously a very good Prophet player. Yeah, they ran it a couple of times yesterday, but they did lose a game with it. So I'm not entirely sure if Newbee are just looking for a particular style. The last really big tournament besides this, it was very team fight oriented, and opening up with a Magnus with the changes to towers and stuff like that. When you have Magnus, you kind of want a team fight and or go for like heavy farming cores. Looks like we're going to see the Ricky tricks of the trade and power combination.
Yep.
I believe that was actually talked about on the main stream yesterday as well, because a couple of games we got a chance to see that as on top of pretty much 90 heroes being picked, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good combo. We've seen it before, and we'll see it again. Juggernaut Rubik here for Newbee, going to be their opener. Hard to go wrong with these two heroes. Good setup in lane. A lot of flexibility. You can kind of pivot this draft into almost anything, it feels like. And now we'll see that Crystal Maiden third ban. And Axe now, third ban by Evil Geniuses.
It's a really solid ban. It's annoying because the Axe just has such a low cooldown on being able to initiate. Like Berserker's Call level 4 is only 10-second cooldown, and then you can just blink in, be a nuisance. If the Ricky gets caught out by a call, you're pretty much just dead to rights. There's not really much you can do about it. The Rubik from the side of Newbee, that hero had been seeing a lot of contention in tournaments past anyway, but especially against a hero like Magnus, you're restricting one of the biggest strengths of the hero, which is BKB, piercing, AoE disable, because the Rubik never really has to fully commit. Although at the same time, you could argue that Ricky is kind of directed at the Rubik in the form of a counter, unless there's like this 5 versus 5 where there's already like sentries down and whatnot. So it can be a bit tricky, actually, I think, for the Rubik in this game, just because of that one hero.
Well, now the Lifestealer, fourth ban by Newbee. Very smart ban here. It's a prevalent core against Juggernaut anyhow, but Magnus, great Infest Bomb carrier, as well as Ricky. Those two can be very pesky in the mid-game especially. So, smart ban here, and now the Invoker, fourth banned out by EG.
That's Triple C's best hero. Well,
yeah.
He plays a lot of stuff really well, but his Invoker is certainly a thing.
Yeah.
Not really too surprised to see it taken out here. Plus, it's Alacrity for the Juggernaut, and Juggernaut's not really that hero that you look at and think, okay, yeah, well, this thing is like super strong late game, but U9 just plays it so damn effectively. Like, he's probably one of the best Juggernaut players. Like, you think about Burning, you think U9, etc. He's definitely up there.
No doubt. Newbee now thinking about their third, looking for another support mid and an off lane. How do you think Magnus lanes best right now? Do you, like, when you see a Magnus first pick, do you kind of assume that it's a mid Magnus? Is that the initial assumption, at least, if you can have the ideal setup?
I think you assume it's Universe, actually.
Okay.
I think that's probably your first assumption. It's tough though, again, because
it's hard to tell.
Sumail has played it in the past, right? Like, it just depends on how EG feel about how the lanes are going to shape up over time, and given the fact that Newbee just showed the rotation hero. Between the supports of Newbee, I don't really think they're going to be able to directly pressure this Ricky that much. So it kind of takes a little bit of, I guess, pressure off the lanes for EG. So now they can look to, pick something that may be a little bit more durable in the middle lane for Sumail. Maybe he wants to play, Puck again. He played it the other day. It's a good catch. You'd have some crazy pick-off potential between Ricky, Magnus, and a Puck on top of that. Plus, it's something that can effectively reach to the backline to be able to, like, disjoint So this could be a support still. Crit played that yesterday. Support Wind Ranger.
How'd,
It's one
how'd
of those
that go?
heroes. I think they won that game. I want to say. I think they were playing it against Faceless. But yeah, they
Interesting.
played support Wind Ranger against Ice 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 and his Brood, and I believe they were victorious. So
Okay.
it's strong in the sense that it's very good lane support because you can't really trade. Level 1 Wind Run or Power Shot, whichever he decides to take. You just can't really get in there to do anything to the core player if it is going to
Yeah.
be that support. And again, it's still flexible because Sumail in the past has also played Wind Ranger. It
Right.
just really depends on what flavor EG want to adapt their draft to after having seen, what Newbee are going to pick. So I'm guessing this is mid Lena right now because they already have Earth Spirit and Rubik.
Yeah.
That means, SCCC gets his Lena. It's not like the flashiest hero in the entire world, but it certainly can get kills, and that's something that he definitely wants to be doing.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of follow up. With supports like Rubik, Earth Spirit, you've got a lot of roaming potential in the early laning stage in particular, and that's something that Lena can make great use of. Even just having a setup for that Light Strike Array and the Telekinesis can work wonders. So EG, fourth pick, as you talked about, a little bit flexible here, but they will grab the Troll. So the big bad core that will take use of the Empower alongside the Ricky. We've seen this combo many a time, and oh boy, is it dirty, Draskell. I mean, Troll is just good even without the Empower. We talked a lot yesterday about the changes to Magnus, now Empower costing more mana, even seeing some Magnuses reverting back to that, I guess, older style of maxing out Shockwave. But even just towards the late game, Troll being able to have Cleave, not even as a farming tool, just as a pure damage item in team fights, it's proven to be very valuable.
Yeah, without a doubt. The hero still brings a tremendous amount of impact to fights and just pressure. They always used to say, it's not the black hole, it's the threat of the black hole. I think it was like Puppy or something that originally said that, but the idea still is applicable in this scenario. So, Tia is going to be banned out. Obviously, Troll is going to be Arteezy's hero. Still going to be looking for something for Sumail. I kind of am concerned for Newbee right now because if you look at things in terms of BKB lockdown, they pretty much have zero. Like, they are not bringing anything to the table that's going to be able to stop a BKB'd Empowered Troll at this point. So there's like a lot of emphasis in the early game for Newbee to have a lot of success in their lanes. And then I'm looking at their supports and I'm thinking, okay, the Earth Spirit, obviously a super good hero, but is it going to be enough? Like, are they going to be able to really, really pressure EG and push the tempo?
Yeah.
I guess we can always see what their offlane pick is, and perhaps it changes the dynamic of their draft. But at the moment, I do kind of favor what EG are picking.
Is there an off-lane pick that Newbee can grab here that'll give him that BKB lockdown that you're talking about? I'm having trouble imagining the perfect hero.
Axe would have been amazing. That would have been like the best possible hero, but obviously EG have banned it.
Yeah.
Abba is good in the sense that it offers you that sustain, and you can kind of get those towers down with like the aphotic shields and the healing ward. And I guess the other option is, Newbee could decide to go like fully aggressive and just go for lane pressure and send like the Jug with the Earth Spirit or the Rubik to the top lane, because Troll is actually not that good of a laner. And if Ricky is forced to sit against like a tri-lane or something, it can be pretty ineffective for the side of EG. So perhaps, Newbee go for some unorthodox laning to kind of shore up their kind of lackluster mid to late game.
Yeah, try to pull the Troll out of his comfort zone so he doesn't get that nice, safe, easy start.
Yeah,
well,
I would like to see it, but it depends on the last pick, whatever Newbee decide to do.
Final pick from EG. They've got about 40 seconds left to decide, and it's the Ember. So that'll be your Sumail hero headed to the mid lane. And as you already pointed out here, Draskell Crit will take that Wind Ranger here onto the support role. So off lane now for Newbee. I guess potentially they could aggro try and then look for a solo safe lane, but who's that position 3?
God, this is a hard pick. After the Ember as well, we're talking about Empowered Ember who can like push out all the lanes. You're going to have Troll who you still have like no reliable lockdown for. You're going to have to really take some immaculate team fights in order to really push the pace of this game and force EG into an uncomfortable position. I think they actually got like everything that they wanted out of their draft.
Yeah.
They got the wave clear. They got, pretty mediocre pick-off potential. But to be honest, when all your team really has to do is hit creeps, you don't really need, the capability of forcing team fights all the time. And Ember, Ricky, and Magnus still to a lesser degree can start fights in their own way. It's not necessarily like the the quickest initiation or the best, but it can definitely happen.
What about
You
is
can tell
Enigma
Newbee are kind
possible
of.
here? Like an offlane Enigma? That is something that'll go through BKB and well, okay,
Ooh, that's
they take
something we haven't
Tide.
seen.
So not something that works
So
against
this is
BKB, but great AOE disable. Some solid team fight.
this is like purely mid game timing here from Newbie. They're looking
Yeah.
at a hero that, in lane, it's actually going to be quite tough for the Wind Ranger and Troll to harass. Kraken Shell is a heck of an ability against auto attacks in the early game. So I guess they were looking for something that would be able to carry a mech and kind of just go for towers as fast as humanly possible, because above all else, EG's team does actually need, a few items before they really start to come into their own.
True.
I mean, you got Troll, Ricky needs items, Wind Ranger even as a support. If you don't have anything in your inventory, you're going to feel pretty lackluster. So
Yeah.
I'm still kind of favoring EG just in the ease of execution department, but Newbie with the Tidehunter pick, they can force the engagement. And the other nice thing about having Tide is it's actually very difficult to lock him down in an RP and kill him before he's able to get that Ravage off, unless there's like an RP with a cloud on top of it. And for some reason, he's unable to get himself out of that AoE. So it's a
Yeah.
pretty nice pick.
Yeah, I mean, I have not seen much Tide recently, and I think some of it is just because of how long the ultimate cooldown is. It seems like teams can play around it fairly effectively, and if you don't make every single Ravage count, it just opens up this window where the enemy team knows they're going to have an advantage if they can pick a fight. I also think the Ricky, that can make Tidehunter's life a little bit difficult. Smoke Cloud could do a lot of work this game, Draskell. Silence effective against every hero, but, Smoke
It
Clouds
feels like
could be
one of
game
those
changing.
picks where you have I'm not disputing the Smoke Cloud can just completely ruin a Tide. There are a few abilities in the game that really make Tidehunters suffer. Static Storm is one of them, Chronosphere, Black Hole, things that can't really be crackened off. But in this case, I would say that Newbie's game plan isn't to really play like this split up kind of style. I think they really want to be focused on getting their core items as fast as humanly possible, and then just 5-man Dota objectives. I think that's probably their best bet if they want to just go ahead and take it to EG and get a quick win in game number 1. Not saying it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
Just saying I feel like that's going to be kind of their go-to plan here.
Okay, well, Newbee, rather, on the Radiant site here, they pop a smoke as they venture through the mid. They get a ward down. It doesn't look like too much else will come out of it. Maybe they'll choose to invade the Dire Bounty over here. An interesting smoke. I guess maybe anticipating a rotation from EG trying to snipe their bounty rune.
30 seconds to battle.
I mean, with the Ricky on the team, it's actually a pretty smart play, because if for whatever reason, Zai walks up that hill and there's a bunch of heroes smoked and it pops, they know he's there.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, the Earth Spirit's got Dust as well and an Orb of Venom. So if he got hit by that combination, he would 100% be dead. So good on Zai for going to the opposite bounty rune
Yeah.
and not the obvious contest.
Smart play. He's still going to head over, though, and not going to be able to get there in time, and in fact, not even going to go for it. So we'll just be 2 apiece in terms of bounties. No trickery afoot quite yet, Draskell.
It's better safe than sorry, I think. Sometimes I think it's worth it to go for the bounty rune even if you die. In this type of game, where I think that Zai is going to be one of the heroes you're looking at for EG to really have a lot of influence in the laning phase. Like, he's going to spot out Faith, recognize that, he's not the one carrying detection, it's actually the Earth Spirit. And as soon as he sees that, Evil Geniuses are actually sending 2 heroes to this off lane, maybe in anticipation of some kind of lane that they didn't want to go against, like we were talking about, like the potential aggro try or something. But as soon as they realize that it's not going to be that, they can just shut down U9's farm and potentially even make Kaka come over here. But Sumail middle lane getting pretty damn low.
Yeah, almost a first blood there. The aggro try comes out of EG. They'll put some pressure on, and Tide just starting off completely in the jungle. KP just sacks the off lane, picks up the Iron Talon, and he'll be farming to his heart's content.
I really do like the Tide to round out Newbee's lineup. I was kind of hard-pressed to think of a hero that would have been able to offer something that gives Newbee a reliable condition to win the game. And the thing about Tidehunter against most other junglers is that once you get a couple of points in a Kraken, the creeps just don't hurt you anymore. So you're never running the risk of walking around with no HP and Zai just casually walking up and poking you, kind of like what he's going to do here mid.
Yep. Sentry Ward already down, so Lina knows what's going on, but that'll change. They'll drop a Sentry Ward of their own, and Zai will maintain some vision control here in the mid lane. So Lina versus Ember Spirit. Of course, the rotations are going to play a big role in this lane, but Lina has a pretty good time in this matchup, right? Abusing the... Oh, never mind. Down bottom. Crit initiated on Telekinesis into the Blade Fury, and this will be an easy first blood for U9. Juggernaut picks it up.
And as soon as that happens, Arteezy just abandons the lane, realizes the safe place to be is actually in the safe lane in this scenario. They actually almost took out the Lina mid as well. He had to pop Fairy Fire. He was super, super low.
Yeah.
Haven't had the Shrine just yet, though.
So but how does this 1v1 matchup go, Lina versus Ember? I want to say it's a little bit Lina favored just because she has the range advantage, but...
It can be. I think it depends on how the players actually do, I think. Like right now he has Sleight of Fist skilled on Sumail to try to dodge the Dragon Slaves. If SCCC is able to land those, then I think that he'll probably get the laning advantage. But if Sumail is able to just chain push out the wave, then both of the heroes pretty much just farm. The downside of this matchup, actually, if anything, I think is for Lina, because it's much easier to kill the Lina than it is for Newbee to kill the Earth Spirit, unless he's playing super aggro without Flame Guard like he is right now.
Yeah, the Ember, yeah. No, it's a fair point, and maybe Ember a little bit scary when he's not pressured in those early levels. As soon as he hits 6, that's when he becomes exceptionally hard to shut down. Zai now going to be just leeching in the off lane. He's found his level 2 on the Riki, and just going to absorb some of the stacks and pulls. Will continue to be a nuisance down here. Like you mentioned, Arteezy rotated up top, and KP has come back to the lane now. Tidehunter already level 4. Mid lane, now Sumail initiated on. Follow-up damage not quite going to be there. He pops the Flame Guard, and he'll make it back under the tower.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure being applied to Sumail at the moment, but they do have Shrine still. Probably just waiting out Universe. Roll's going to miss.
Okay, Sumail's good. Can they turn this onto Kaka, though? Rotation coming in. It's only a level 1 Shockwave, but Skewer forward. Zai now rotating in. Stun on 2, but they get it. Zai will find credit with that last stray auto attack as they shrine up. 1-1.
Pretty solid start here so far from EG. If you look at Universe's farm, he is going for the Empower build. He's got the Iron Talon already. He realizes that it's pretty difficult for the supports of Newbee to really directly pressure him. They're not going to be able to like invade the jungle or anything with the Earth Spirit. He's more concerned with, stopping Zai from stealing bounty runes, carrying his dust, maybe helping out the safe lane if for whatever reason heroes rotate for U9, but I kind of doubt that would happen.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things I think that Newbee have to accomplish to reach their really strong mid-game timing. Yeah. Although all that said, KP's actually doing super well at the moment.
Sumail initiated on. Kaka rolling boulder forward. Dragon Slave comes out. Searing Chains connect on 1, but there's the LSA, and that'll be the end of Sumail as Newbee pick up another one in the mid lane.
Super good timing on the gank. His Flame Guard was actually on cooldown, so top lane, that might lose KP though.
Silence trying to TP home. It's a heads-up play, but it's not going to be enough. Arteezy will have the damage to bring him down. Squared up once again.
That's a lot of heroes, though, just to kill the Tidehunter.
Yeah.
I think that KP is probably going to be pretty okay with the situation. Like, even after his death, he buys the Raindrops, he buys the Magic Wand. I don't think they're actually going to be able to kill him like that again. Wind Ranger as a support, and then Troll as your primary source of damage, when his nuke doesn't really even hit that hard, you're going to have a very, very difficult time stopping that Tidehunter from being in the lane.
Yeah. But right now we're seeing part of the power of Magnus, a hero that not really thought of as a jungler, but he can farm pretty effectively with the Empower and Iron Talon. He's already level 5 now, gets that second point in Shockwave. And the Universe having a pretty good time himself. Here in the mid lane, we'll see some action break out. Sumail doing a lot of damage, but taking a lot in return. They'll kill SCCC first. Now the rotation from Rubik. Zai lays in a couple of auto attacks. The power shot will be off the mark, and Kaka will be able to stagger away on the Earth Spirit. And just a quick pick on the Lina. Nice little kill there for Evil Geniuses.
I feel like that should be something that happens a lot in this game, like the Lina just getting taken out. And there's not really a lot, I think, that the supports of Newbee can actually do about it. That's the scary thing. Like, the Boulder Smash was there, or the roll, whatever. Kaka did everything he could, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a Lina.
Boulder forward. Kaka very low on HP. Sumail does not have the Flame Guard. He finally gets to pop it. Doesn't quite have the damage they're hoping for, but Faith gets chased down by the Riki, and one more Blink Strike will secure that kill. Crit does have a power shot. Looking to snipe Kaka. It does connect, but he's got some raindrops, and he will survive through it.
It was a nice shot, too.
Yeah.
Pretty much max distance on that one. You can just see how Zai's playing this as well. He's getting, like, the super aggressive wards. At the beginning of the game, We didn't actually talk about it too much. He had that ward that spotted out KP's jungling. Jesus, Zai.
He is
He
going
is so
in.
ham. He's dead.
Yeah, I think so. Looking for a deny, perhaps. He's not level 6, and Laguna Blade will just make it an easy one-hit KO. No messing around there. Okay. Well, he gets punished for that one. It was a bold endeavor for the Riki.
I mean, at the same time, it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing because it shows that he's there, but it shows that he's there for a kill, not necessarily to drop wards. So maybe Newbee don't realize that, you know, he was going for that pick off on the Earth Spirit. Perhaps he wasn't there getting vision down.
U9.
There's a lot of heroes bottom as well.
Yeah, about to be rotated on. He is level 6, though, so he's got Omni Slash. Perhaps not the easiest kill to find. Crit trying to hide in the tree line and stay a little bit elusive, but all the while, Newbee smoked up his 3, beginning to rotate. They'll move up to the high ground where the shrine is and perhaps wrap around the tower. Both teams looking for a gank here, but Newbee seem like they'll find the opening first. Universe initiated on Telekinesis, Blade Fury. Shackle not going to do a hell of a lot, and it will just be a quick kill onto the Magnus, and that'll be the end of it as now Newbee look to transition perhaps into a tower push, thinking about diving crit, but won't be able to close the gap, and they just start getting some licks in onto this tier 1. Zai lingering nearby, just scouting things out. He'll see Kaka in the trees, but I think EG might need to let this tower go.
Universe is up in a couple of seconds. I don't know if he really wants to go into this, though.
Oh, they go in onto Zai. They dust him as well. Follow-up damage is there. Crit getting very low as U9 drops the Omni Slash. It's Sumail that's joined the party. Universe, he's got himself the RP. Connects on the Earth Spirit, who's only level 3 as Searing Chains come out. They go 1 for 1, and maybe even more. U9 gets caught forward by Sumail, but it's KP with a Ravage on 3. A lot of low-health heroes on EG, but Newbee having trouble cleaning it up. His faith gets low. Sumail still in deep. He finally gets locked down. A few more auto attacks. They might be able to find this. He does have some stick charges as he moves into the trees. He's all alone. No reinforcements from EG to be found. The Dragon Slave actually falls short there. He's got some Searing Chains. They connect on 2. Zai comes back in, but can't save him with the smoke cloud. And it does end up Newbee favored at the end. 2 for 3, and they get about a 500 net worth gain out of it.
It was a really good rotation from KP there. If the Tidehunter hadn't come to that particular engagement, I think it would have been a lot harder for Newbee to really pull that one back, because the Ravage hit on 3 heroes, and it kind of stopped Sumail from dealing damage for an extended period of time, allowed him to eventually land a Light Strike array to follow it up. Got the extra kill on the Magnus as well. Universe just died 2 times. Like, he got ganked bottom, they were killing the tower, TP'd back, died again. Only got a solo RP on an Earth Spirit, so maybe not the biggest bang for your buck, but I guess, you know, at this stage, EG are really just looking to get whatever kills they can, because they recognize that they pretty much have, like, the late game secured. So as long as they're not just getting completely beaten down in the early game, it should be okay for them.
Yeah. They're hanging in there. Glancing at the graph, it was about a 1,500 net worth lead for Newbee, and now it's starting to settle down a little bit more. Now around about 1,000. Arteezy still farming away in the safe lane on the troll as Newbee smoke up again, realizing that Arteezy is definitely the leading farmer here. They will put some pressure on and look for a gank opportunity. SCCC connects with the LSA, and they've got more than enough damage. Laguna Blade to finish it off as the troll takes a tumble.
That was a really slick use of scan there. They scanned the camp to make sure that he was there, and then he just instantly rolled in.
Yeah.
That was a really nice play there from Newbee. And like the second smoke in very, very fast pace is kind of what we expected out of Newbee this game. They really need to be fighting like constantly. They just need to be pressure, you know, drop the healing ward, kill the buildings, do everything they can. Like, they're even doing all these aggressive plays without the use of their Ravage. That's how much they want to push the pace.
Yeah, and we're seeing this Juggernaut very early on here. Only level 8, limited items. He's already getting involved in these fights. Omni gets broken. His Universe skewers away, turns, drops the RP, brings down U9. It's a huge turn for EG, and now they're on the aggressive. Sumail's joined the party. He hops forward, Searing Chain, stolen by Faith, but it won't be enough. It's a 2-fer. EG continuing to press forward, but they won't find anything else. Nice set of pickoffs there as they get a solid gain for themselves.
Yeah, he didn't actually skewer. He got kicked by the Earth Spirit. So
that was
like
a kick. Oh, okay.
A counter play.
My bad.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to get RP'd because his teammate was standing right next to him, and he just assumed that if he kicked him away, that there was a better chance that they would win the engagement. But unfortunately, the Omni Slash was like mid-animation. Hit him once, kicked him out, and then the jump didn't follow.
Yeah.
It's kind of an RNG thing when that happens. Like when you force staff, sometimes the Omni follows you, sometimes it doesn't. It's just, you know, timing and a little bit of luck.
Right.
But yeah, that was like the anti-play.
Yeah, that was kind of awkward. Mid lane now, U9 maybe initiated on as Zai comes in. There is a sentry ward down, though, for the Radiant. He takes a lot of damage and has to blink strike defensively. And Jug will just walk back to safety. And meanwhile, up top, Newbee putting some pressure on this tier 1 tower. Looks like EG will just let her go. Yeah, no rotations coming. It'll be handed over to the Lina.
I think in this game it's pretty acceptable to just let your towers die, especially when you know KP wasn't present at the last engagement, so you kind of have to assume that Ravage is going to be up. He wasn't showing on the map for a little bit. I guess he did walk past an offensive ward placed by EG a little while ago. But I think as soon as, this Tidehunter mech is finished, that's like really the goal point. You got to get that tier 1 down. My biggest concern for Newbee after that point is, how do you proceed? Your team doesn't really kill Roshan that fast. You don't have any minus armor. You don't have really anything that's high damage against that. So what is your play after you accumulate the tier 1 towers?
Well, it's a good question, Draskell, and hopefully we'll have an answer in the near future. Shackle connects onto the Tidehunter and will latch onto a creep as Newbee pressure this tier 1. Still about 400, 500 gold away from that mech. So kind of an awkward timing here. KP absolutely does not want to die. May just turn into a free tower. They force out the glyph. There is an RP available on Universe. Of course, no Blink Dagger, but KP deep in the front lines, pump faking the Ravage, making EG hesitate here. Rolling boulder forward from Kaka. He actually takes a solo RP from Universe, and him and Zai will do a lot of damage here. Skewer will help finish him off. It's a 1-0 in exchange for that tower. Of course, all the while up top, Arteezy quietly farming here on this Troll Warlord.
We're seeing a lot of these solo RPs, but I would actually say in this type of game, it's actually better to do that because you understand that Newbee's game plan is to kind of 5-man a lot and just force reactions out of you. Okay, you're going to defend this tower or we're just going to kill it. So by killing one hero, even if it's a relatively long cooldown on the ulti, you're just ensuring that they're not going to go for the tier 2. Like, there's no way they're going to try to fight 4v5 without Magnetize when, Arteezy didn't even have to TP. So I think that these are the types of plays that EG kind of have to make to kind of halt the aggression that Newbee's putting forth here.
It also makes sure that Universe is getting guaranteed steps towards the Blink Dagger, and he's not just off the map farming. I mean, he's only 300 gold away now, and those kills are definitely starting to add up. He actually got credit for that last one. Little pressure on the tier 1 in the bottom lane, but Newbee will TP in a few heroes. They mount a defense, and pretty much immediately, EG just head for the hills, still maintaining some pretty deep wards. One on the shrine here, and then one right up above the Roche pit, just in case Newbee try anything too sneaky there. But that has definitely been a hallmark of this game so far for Evil Geniuses. Pretty solid ward placement in very aggressive positions.
Oh, this is a big kill. This is a big kill.
Lina in a lot of trouble, and Sumail is going to come cruising back in. A few more auto attacks, and they should be able to find this. S-triple-C, rather, making them work for it, but they find a nice easy kill off a smoke rotation.
The vision control so far from EG has been really on point. I actually don't know if a single of their wards has actually been dewarded at this point.
Not
by
that
the
I've
side
seen.
of Newbee. And that's just one of the strengths that this Ricky Maru gives you, right? Like, you just get to walk wherever you want, as long as you're taking intelligent paths and you're not just walking over these common deward locations, you're pretty much going to get your vision for free. And that is, like, so important for a lineup like EG that really emphasizes, delaying a little bit, avoiding bad confrontation. Nice shackle here onto U9.
Yeah, silence to follow up. I don't think they have the damage to finish off the Jug, and he does have a lot of reinforcements nearby as Kaka comes rolling forward. Does drop a dust onto Ricky. It connects, Magnetize as well. Tricks of the trade. I think Zai should survive here. Stolen power shot, brings him down low, but he will live. EG are really hanging on here, Draskell. Look at that gold graph. I mean, it's almost zeroed out. This momentum from Newbee is pretty quelled now as they move into the Roche pit.
This is something they absolutely need. Like, if they don't get this Roche, the game is going to be so hard for them.
This is so risky,
I think
though.
it's the... Well, they did have a ward, so they saw, or they actually still see Kaka kind of sitting there. So EG are, like, in force moving over. They know it's not going to be fast, but they do have Ravage on the side of Newbee.
So one thing they need to be wary about, these close quarter combats can be so good for the Tidehunter, but it's also great for a hero like Ember Spirit who does all this AoE damage. Zai takes the Laguna Blade, but still gets off the tricks of the trade. Universe with an RP on 2. Now Omni Slash takes a couple of bounces. Everyone's still somehow alive as Zai falls. Now Universe, it's Newbee that wins the fight, and they look back towards Roche to finish him off. KP didn't even have to use the Ravage there. The mech was enough to sustain his team and then turn that one around.
You can see how scared EG are playing around that Ravage. Like, they don't have any BKBs yet, so there's no chance that, Arteezy is going to be able to walk into the middle of that, potentially get ravaged, Omni-slashed.
Oh, that's a
It's
stolen
just
RP, too.
so much. Yeah, there's so much area denial on the side of Newbee, and like you mentioned too, Faith getting the reverse polarity stolen as well. I think that Universe had the right idea. He just couldn't skewer the Tidehunter quite far enough away to get the rest of his team in. So he goes in, he skewers them like into the Roshan pit to try to get him away from his cores, and then he RPs to make sure that the Ravage isn't going to be there to counter-initiate. But the problem is, everyone on the side of Newbee was so well-positioned that there was no feasible way that the rest of EG could close the gap to the other heroes to do anything in time. So basically, they're looking at this Tidehunter going, okay, this hero actually just crushes us if we go in. If you're an attack speed-based lineup and you're playing against Anchor Smash, which is 60% damage reduction, and a Kraken Shell hero that reduces damage by an additional 48 every time you hit him, there ain't much magical burst on the side of EG. That's normally how you kill Tidehunter. You burst him with magic. But they're just... that hero doesn't exist.
Yeah. So Sumail here, he's got a Battle Fury queued up. Not an item I'm accustomed to seeing on Ember Spirit these days.
They really want to play the split push game. They recognize and are giving respect to how powerful Newbee's mid game is. And this is why I was kind of praising the Tidehunter pick earlier, because it actually solves so many of their issues. And it's actually a KP classic. He's played this hero a ton. I'm just like not used to seeing it in this meta. But the hero has offered a tremendous amount of value so far, giving Newbee like all these openings to do things that normally otherwise taking Rosh like that was not a fast Roshan.
Yeah.
Not at all. But they're just able to do it risk-free because of Tidehunter.
Well, maybe not risk-free, but certainly lower risk than usual. Newbee smoked up,
yeah, for sure.
looking for the opening, but EG doing a really good job choosing when to take these fights. As they sense that rotation, they group up onto the other quadrant and to protect Arteezy and look for some split push of their own. Tier 2 tower down bottom, taking a little damage from Zai, and meanwhile up top, Newbee will start to converge here. So we'll see if one of these teams can turn and maybe mount a defense, or if it'll just be a tower exchange. I do see a TP coming in down bottom. It is the Tidehunter, right into a smoke cloud, so he can't ravage right away. But as you've talked about a few times now, it is the Tidehunter, and he can feel pretty bold here. Not much burst damage that he needs to be afraid of. Top tier 2 does fall, and with that, Newbee mounted defense, so an obvious advantage there for the Radiant.
So far, EG, I think, are making the correct movements around the map to try to delay this. They just don't want Newbee to get the maximum benefit out of the Aegis. Just split up the map, push the lanes in, don't allow Newbee to group up as 5 with the Ravage. This is kind of becoming that rock, paper, scissors meta that we used to see all the time, where the split push on paper beats teamfight because the teamfight never actually gets an opportunity to push the objectives they want. They always got to worry about, okay, who's clearing this wave, who's clearing that wave. The Ember's up here, okay, now he's bottom. It can be very, very difficult actually for Newbee to seal the game, but they have gotten pretty much every single objective that they've needed to keep their lineup kind of at its peak.
Absolutely. Mid-tier 2, now under siege. All 5 of Newbee grouped up, and EG still just continuing to split up the map. Zai, the only one that's back here kind of lingering. It's a Manta style now up on the Jug. Less than 2 minutes on the Aegis, so trying to make as much use out of this as possible. Meanwhile, back down bottom, the TPs come. Are they going to be able to find the catch here, though? Crit, TP out. Kaka just barely misses the stun. Very close call. Had the right idea, but can't quite find it.
Space created. That's the play. Just make Newbee run around the map as much as humanly possible. You got one tier 2 left. As long as they don't get a tier 3 out of this Aegis, I think that EG are actually still okay. Newbee are just applying so much pressure. Like, every movement around the map, they're just grouping up as 5. They're not falling into that, okay, let's split up for a second and try to do this. Okay, as I say that, as Triple CTP's top. But, for the most part, they've been pretty good about not getting heroes individually killed. And that's like the worst case scenario for them, is a hero getting picked off when they're not, as 5. Because then, as we mentioned, it makes it very difficult for them to push.
Oh, top lane here. Magnus drops the RP solo on the Lina, but there is support. Kaka comes rolling in, jumps onto the Ember Spirit, and Sumail punished hard. Easy kill for Newbee.
Yeah, that was, I think, a little bit of miscommunication, actually, because as soon as the RP came out, Universe he was out of there. Yeah. He was like, I'm RPing, I'm gone. So maybe Sumail wasn't expecting the hero sitting behind, but the Earth Spirit just pretty much owned him there. Okay, so Aegis is going to be down now. That means Roshan in about 3 minutes for the side of Newbee.
Yep. Boots of Travel up on Lina. She'll head back to the bottom lane and continue the push. Arteezy mid, distracting Faith and Kaka for now. The final outer tower turned to rubble. As Newbee finish it off, and now it is just high ground that remains. Back to farming we go. What's Arteezy looking at here? Just BKB coming out next. Very standard build, SNY into BKB. No surprises.
It has to be.
Yeah.
You are forced into buying BKB against Tide. There is no way around it, because there's no way the Tide's ever going to Ravage unless either Sumail or Arteezy are going to get hit by said Ravage. And that's why they were able to so effectively take Roshan, because the cores both understand that, you know, in a perfect world, KP's not hitting that R button unless he's killing a core. And that means you can never go in unless you have that magic immunity, so... Zai scouting out some TPs here. They were actually going for a kill on Sumail. It looks like he's going to be able to remnant back to safety.
Yeah.
But this particular game, you know, Newbee actually have quite a bit of time. You know, they've taken all the outer tier towers up until this point. They have not lost a single tier 2. You know, Artor doesn't have his BKB yet. And even after that, he probably needs an additional item, to be honest. Like, typically we see Trolls getting the I would actually love to see Silver Edge this game, just for the Tide. Because if you Silver Edge the Tide, it can't be dispelled. So then his Kraken is gone, and you can actually kill him.
Right.
That would probably be, I would say, one of the best game-turning items.
We'll see Faith initiated on down bottom. Skewer back from Universe. And a very fast kill for the Zai Universe duo. Now back towards the mid lane. Maybe a little pressure on Arteezy, but he will make it back as U9 and KP continue to push forward. Diffusal coming out next for the Juggernaut to go with the Manta style. Very standard item build on him as well.
U9's Juggernaut is always very impressive to watch. I mean, granted, this game, he didn't necessarily have the hardest of lanes because Arteezy TP'd away. Oh, God.
Oh, Zai down bottom. Yeah, trying to TP out. They catch him there. Plenty of damage. And that'll be a full retreat for EG now.
Well, again, you know, it's a lot of committal on the side of Newbee. I think every time 2 or 3 heroes rotate to kill a support, it's probably just fine for EG. Like, they're not overly concerned. BKB now done on the Troll Warlord. I think the make or break, honestly, is either going to be the next Roshan, which is going to be up relatively soon, or it's going to be when Newbee eventually try to push that high ground. You know, how much can they make EG commit to defending? Because sometimes it's actually okay if you make the enemy team buy back on like 3 heroes, even if you don't get the tower, because of the economical damage.
Right. EG do have really good high ground defense as well. Great creep clear inside of the Wind Ranger, Ember Spirit. Good with magic damage, and now he's got Battle Fury, so kind of amazing creep clear in those small quarters. And of course, Magnus, Troll, a lot of just AoE damage, catch in general. Going to be very hard for Newbee to try to break high ground without finding a pick-off or 2 first.
That was pretty much the name of the game. In that sense, I'm kind of curious. Okay, so SCCC did get the Shadow Blade. I was kind of wondering if he would.
Yeah, but the smoke broke. Zai saw it. He breaks that smoke, stops the whole gank.
It was a nice timing, too, because they knew that Roshan was going to be up, so they wanted to go for a smoke, you know, posturing, make sure that you can get the next Aegis, give it to U9, have someone actually able to hit the tower. That's kind of like the next big hurdle here for Newbee. Again, they don't kill Roshan super fast, and they don't siege particularly well. It's just their team fight presence is so insane that EG always just look at them and go, well, it's not really worth the risk most of the time. But fresh BKB is going to incentivize EG to smoke up.
Yep, and they've got the Riki to lead the way, the mobile ward. But will they find the catch is the question. Kaka lingering in the mid lane. Also, a Yule's picked up on the Earth Spirit now. Zai scouts him out. Smoke gets broken, and it is going to be the Earth Spirit that they catch first. Fast kill there, but now the Riki, the turn. He gets into the tricks of the trade. KP actually walks into the silence. Still holding on to the Ravage, relatively healthy. Guardian Greaves up, has to use him there, but still a 1-0. EG get the support, and Zai is able to survive.
Yeah, it was an okay pick. It's going to delay Roche. I still don't think that EG are going to feel super comfortable going for it themselves, because they know the Tide's alive, and that's going to be... that's kind of the hero that, if for whatever reason KP dies and doesn't get a Ravage off, which I don't think will happen, but if it does, for whatever reason, that's EG's time to shine.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Blink Dagger going to be coming up next for the Tide. He's picked up just a Hood of Defiance for some additional survivability, and about halfway towards the Blink.
Yeah, he had the Blink queued for a while. I thought he was actually going to go it for, because he had like the Arcanes and the Mech and the Hood. And I thought perhaps he would go for the Blink Dagger before finishing Greaves. But I guess he's just valuing, you know, staying alive more than just being able to blink in. Because again, he hasn't needed Blink.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
every single objective that Newbee go for, EG are just watching them. Oh, stun's going to miss there from SCCC. It was a nice attempt. I think if he hit that, actually would have killed Sumail.
Mm-hmm. So Roche's respawn, as we talked about, EG scouting it out, keeping eyes in the pit, not being too eager themselves to commit. I think really hoping that Newbee will run in there so they can try to pick a fight. Mobility tools out on Magnus now. He's got himself the Force Staff, and it'll be the Shadow Blade coming next. And a Solar Crest up on crit now. And, okay, maybe that Silver Edge on Arteezy is going to become a reality here, Draskell. You were talking about it to break the tide. And he does have the Shadow Blade.
Yeah, it's super good. Super, super good. You get one Lucky Bash and a Silver Edge on as Troll, you will just put that tide in the ground. Like, there is nothing he's going to be able to do about it. And we did mention the lack of BKB control, so it's not like anyone on his team is going to be able to save him.
Yeah. Well, Newbee still grouped up as 5. EG holding the high ground as Kaka goes rolling in to start off the fight. It's Faith up on the high ground. Arteezy pops the BKB but can't find any targets. Sumail gets locked down. He's taking a huge amount of damage and will actually fall. RP comes through, and it's a pretty even fight so far, but Newbee finding the advantage as the Laguna Blade comes in to finish off Universe. There's the Ravage from Tide. Connects on 2. Might be enough to find this kill onto Arteezy. A buyback now comes out, making a double buyback as Sumail wants to get back into this party. And with the buybacks, Newbee will get cleaned up. KP left all alone. And without the Ravage, are they going to be able to kill him? He's going to TP out. They don't have any more stuns. And he's there. He's free. Costly fight for EG, though. 2 buybacks used there. We'll take a look at the recap and see what kind of economic damage was done. However, EG will now move into the Roche pit.
Can we just talk about how much of a god-tier player Universe is for landing that RP like that? He hit the RP as U9's Omni Slash ended, just murdered Newbee there. Like, sure, they had to commit a couple of buybacks, but EG go into that fight prepared, understanding it, you know, what's at stake, and what they have to commit to be able to win this fight, because this Aegis was supposed to be Newbee's chance to go high ground. And now EG have just completely taken away their opportunity to hit their biggest power spike and potentially be able to get a Rax. So now, the next team fight, you know, Arteezy could potentially have that Silver Edge. And even though the Ravage from KP came out a little bit late, I mean, they were going for the kill on Arteezy, but, you know, Zai's buyback, he blinked back in, got the smoke cloud onto SCCC, actually made, you know, Arteezy live through that. There was actually so much committal from EG because they knew that if they win that fight, they're putting themselves in a prime position to delay the game, which is the only thing they want to do. Yeah,
and 30 minutes tends to be that golden standard where all things equal, carries are going to start to take over and look pretty scary. Sumail as well as Arteezy are getting to that point. We've talked about the Silver Edge, but Sumail's next item, it's going to be the Orchid. Still quite a ways away. Looking at the teamfight recap, he was the one really hurt in terms of economic damage with the buyback in that last engagement. But Orchid going to give him a lot of lockdown and a lot of additional kill power as well. So if you're Newbee here, Draskell, what's the play? I mean, without Roche in your pocket, can you afford to wait for the next Roche to try to break high ground? I mean, that seems like a pretty long time.
It is a very long time, and the Troll item progression is not going to get any slower, you know? He's going to have that Empower, he's going to be farming, like, all the time. He has enough money to finish his Silver Edge, too, if he decides he wants it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, EG, they don't have to commit, you know? I mean, a late-game Troll Warlord lineup and an empowered Battle Fury Ember Spirit are going to be able to pretty much do, you know, whatever they want. They're going to be able to split up the map. They know that Newbee has limited pick-off potential. That's their Achilles heel, is the fact that they are pretty teamfight reliant, and when they don't win the teamfights, their lineup feels very anemic. It's just unfortunate. You know, they really, really needed that second Roche.
Well, to credit your point, things will stall out a little bit. EG able to force Newbee into a big defense up top. Actually, 4 heroes come to defense of this tower, and EG aren't even really here anymore. They've just backed out and going to continue to split push out the lanes. Diffusal coming on the way for Zai. Still a little bit of farming to do, but always a great item to have on the Riki. And there is indeed the Silver Edge out on Arteezy. And initiation onto KP. Just a couple of love taps. And EG will once again back
I think
out.
his Silver Edge actually wore off.
Yeah,
I
it
don't think he
didn't actually
hit him with
break him. It was close, but he used it just half a second too late. So Newbee on the hunt.
Well,
But I don't think they're going to find much here.
nah, they don't have all their heroes. Like, Zai's even showing bottom.
Yeah.
That should be enough to tell you that EG don't really feel like fighting at the moment. And again, it's completely up to them. They don't have to take any unnecessary risk. You can just sit back, chill. You know, if you look at the itemization, like you were talking about the Ember Spirit going for the Orchid, no one really on the side of Newbee has an item that would be considered a save, unless you want to count like Guardian Greaves, right? I guess KP's making a Force Staff, but that Orchid is actually going to offer so much because when they break the tide, they can Orchid him as well. And it's kind of like what we saw people doing to Abaddon at DAC. They would get Silver Edge and they would get Bloodthorn and they would just melt him. Same principle.
I like it. Kaka initiated on. Arteezy sneaks up right behind him. Yule's Scepter does keep him alive a little bit longer, but will not ensure his survival. Dominating streak now out for the Troll as EG group up, and looks like they want to claim this Tier 2 finally in the bottom lane.
I mean, all things considered, even though I kind of favored EG's draft at the beginning of the game, Newbee have played a very solid game. You can't really fault them for EG committing multiple buybacks at that Roche fight, and, you know, Newbee maybe just coming a little bit underprepared for the engagement. It's just, you know, Universe played a phenomenal fight when he hit that really good RP onto U9, and I'm pretty sure he hit like 1 or 2 other heroes on top of that, but the big thing is obviously, you know, getting the Jug out. And then there was like no more physical damage to deal with the BKBs at that point, so all things considered, I think Newbee have played very solid. It's just their lineup is running into inherent draft flaws, where you kind of got this lack of lockdown for a Troll that's continually just farming at an insane rate, and an Ember Spirit who's actually farming more because he's got Battle Fury and bots. You know, when push comes to shove, they have to make a choice. And the choice is, okay, we're going to go for a fight, or we're going to watch all the lanes be pushed in and really never have an opportunity to exert our presence on the map again.
Yeah. I mean, that last fight with all the buybacks and whatnot around the Roche Pit, also enabled by just where it took place, the fact that they were fighting on the Dire Shrine. So for EG, it's kind of a no-brainer. They can buy back and get their heroes instantly right into the middle of the action, where, you know, even if Newbee wanted to use buybacks there, they didn't really have that same option. There's nowhere that they can TP to get right into the fight immediately. So Aegis despawns, 3.5 minutes until the next Roche, and it will be an MKB coming out next for the Troll Warlord. Already 3,500 gold towards it, so some big damage items coming out on Arteezy next.
Yeah, he's itemizing to directly counter U9. Like, that's the only hero he really needs to itemize for. With the BKB, he's safe against the Lina, he's safe against the Tidehunter as well. The only thing he really wants to worry about is being able to just right-click that Juggernaut down during an RP. And obviously U9's going for the Butterfly, so MKB is the obvious choice here. Smoke here from Newbee. Gonna find one hero. Hard to kill, though.
Yeah, Shadow Blade on Lina gives them some additional flexibility initiating off smokes like that. Not going to be the opening. Now, EG have continually stayed sort of grouped up around this bottom lane, acting like they want to push, but haven't really put that much pressure on in terms of moving into the Tier 3 tower, just constantly pulling Newbee back into a more defensive posture, as you were talking about earlier. Just constantly forcing them to run around the map, and most of the time it's not really resulting in anything.
It's lane pressure, and it's compounded by the fact that you also have a Riki. So when there's a Riki on the team and you don't have lane wards down all over the place and you don't have sentries all over the place, a split-pushing hero can quickly turn into you dying because Zai just happens to be there. If Sumail's pushing a side lane or, you know, whatever, maybe Arteezy's there too with his Silver Edge, and you just happen to be trying to push the lanes out by yourself, you just instantly die to that combination. So it's kind of like a double whammy, where, okay, we want to push the lane, but we can't push it alone. So we need the buddy system. And if we need the buddy system, we're playing inefficiently. And we really can only team fight. It's like a lot of things are just, again, it's kind of draft at this point.
Yeah. A game of chicken, as they say. Both sides just roaming around, waiting for the other to give them that opening to catch the initiation and then maybe get something off of it. Is this the opening? Sumail initiated on by the Yule's Scepter of Kaka. Follow-up stun, huge burst damage. And they will indeed catch the Ember Spirit. Nice pick for Newbee.
It's a super good pick.
They needed that.
That's like probably the best hero they can kill, just because of the speed at which he's able to push in the side lanes. It's like you see SCCC just walks down the lane as soon as that hero's dead. He wants these things out as fast as humanly possible. I mean, sure, Roshan's not going to be up for a couple of minutes, but it gives them some breathing room. Potentially is going to allow them to actually posture for the Rosh. Because if they can get their hands on the next Aegis and manage to win a team fight, they're still in the game. It's just there's so much emphasis on that particular fight. Oh, God.
Down
if
bottom.
he gets a lucky bash. Attempted shackle there. Nice try.
Sentry wards coming down. Kakan now jumps forward, drops the Yule Scepter onto Crit. They'll use a Dust, and Crit will just look to TP home. He makes it. Laguna Blade from Lina, not enough damage. Now back towards the mid. U9 and KP, perhaps looking for something. Butterfly is up on the Jug. And MKB almost out on Arteezy. Still a couple hundred gold off, but very limited window here where that Butterfly will go uncountered.
Yeah, the other thing as well is, in regards to like lockdown, EG don't really have to worry about hitting reverse polarity on anybody but the Jug at this point. I mean, even if Rubik manages to steal it, I think it's going to be quite difficult for him to make it be useful in that particular engagement. Especially with Zai having the Diffusal Blade now. Like, Faith, he's freaking living on food stamps. He's got Arcane's Blink in a 37.5-minute game. So if Zai catches him in the fight, he's just dead. I mean, but Newbee, they are getting a lot of time on this Rosh. EG are a little bit slow at the moment to react. The scan's going to come out. They realize that no one's at the shrine, so I think they want to just go for this. Okay, they see one hero.
I think they're
not going to be fast enough, though. They are not nearly fast enough for this.
EG finally smoke up, and yeah, Rosh is going to go down. That's going to be the Aegis. Goes the way of the Juggernaut, and cheese to the Lina.
That is super fortuitous for Newbee. That is like a breath of life for their lineup. They absolutely needed that. Now they can actually look to take an engagement. You know, U9 with the Aegis. He's got Blink Omni ready. EG, though, are looking to try to catch them off guard. They're not expecting a fight right now.
KP could be the one that gets initiated on.
Oh, they saw him, I think.
Both sides.
There's a gem on the tide, so they saw Zai.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And Dire, they've got sentry wards down here. A lot of Shadow Blades this game. A lot of ways to initiate on both sides of the coin. Tide blinks forward. He also has that Force Staff, as we see. And both teams being so cautious right now.
Now, this is basically what you would refer to in StarCraft as a contain, right? Like, they're just trying to make Newbee not move out on the map. They don't want Newbee to be able to get to a tier 3 tower because that actually puts them at risk of losing a Rax if the fight goes awry.
Right.
It is very, very scary for EG right now if Newbee are able to get across the map. I mean, there are actually no buybacks on EG at all, so it's even more scary.
Yeah, a couple heroes within just a couple hundred gold, but absolutely right. The Bloodthorn on the way for Sumail. He's got the Crystallis sitting in the backpack. One of the big items we were talking about of controlling this Tidehunter. Alongside that of Arteezy Silver Edge. He's hiding behind the trees here. They're still going to go in on this. Look how fast the Tidehunter dies with the break. Oh my, Arteezy completely baited it, staying in the fog. They steal the gem, and now Kaka, he might get killed as well. He has to use the Yule Scepter defensively. Sumail able to remnant to the high ground as U9 pops the Omni Slash. It's a 2-for-0 so far. He's going to heal up at the shrine, but Troll just shredding the Juggernaut right now. MKB doing too much work here, Draskell. 3 down on the side of Newbee. Jug with the Aegis going to be coming back to life, but silenced straight away. And he dies in the blink of an eye. 3 down on Newbee without buybacks. Devastating.
That was a prime example of what we were referring to when we talked about the Silver Edge combination with the Bloodthorn. And in addition to that, the Solar Crest too on crit. And just absolutely obliterating that Tide. There is nothing you can do. They're a little bit hesitant at the moment because they're unsure of the buyback status. But I feel like this should be a Rex.
They'll be excited to see the Juggernaut does not have it. 45 seconds stuck in the grave, and he's 900 gold away, so that's not going to be changing anytime soon. This is guaranteed bottom lane of Barracks. Tier 2 towers standing in both mid as well as top, so EG will not get more than one lane here, but Universe catches one with the RP. Skewer back. It's a dead Lina. Another nice catch.
It's smart, actually, for him not to snap buyback. They have tier 2s in both lanes, mid and top. So he's just going to save his money. He's got that Bloodstone respawn time as well. He did lose some charges on it, which is, you know, a bummer, but at the end of the day, he can't really afford to waste the buyout because they're going to need it potentially for mid to be able to defend that. God, it was actually so nice for Newbee to get that Roche, and then just to be like thwarted that heavily after you get the Aegis, it kind of
I mean, it was
kind of
really
like sucks all the life out of what they were going to do.
It was an amazing play from Arteezy, utilizing that little tree, knowing full well the Tide had the gem. That was really the only way he could find the break initiation like that. You know, it's hard to fault KP in a situation like that, sort of using the gem, trying to bait somebody into an aggressive position, but just getting caught a little bit unaware.
Yeah, I mean, they had vision control over the area too, e.g.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what was happening, so they knew full well what they were getting themselves into as soon as they jumped the Tide, and as soon as that Silver Edge Shackle hits, you're just hands off the keyboard. That's it for you.
So Zai going to be the one carrying around the gem now. BKB queued up on him. Still actually only one BKB on the side of EG, and it is in the hands of the Troll, but that might change here in the near future. We'll see EG take a more aggressive posture. Maybe looking for an opening to initiate. Kaka in a precarious spot, but we'll be able to blink back. Zai scouting things out. They find KP. He force stabs into the silence, but they'll be just fine. Tier 2 tower up top, finished off by Arteezy all the while. And now it really feels like EG just absolutely in control. They'll finish off the shrines, get that little bit of extra money, and the map is pretty much now theirs.
It's been a pretty interesting game, to be honest. Like, watching the differences in playstyle in this game one between the two teams, especially again, you know, the last time these two teams met, Newbee won. So, changing it up a little bit on the side of EG, getting themselves a pretty greedy hero in the Magnus as an opener, but also denying the Legion Commander from Newbee, as again, a lot of the Eastern teams are very, very good at utilizing the hero, and they were just much more efficient in their playstyle. And it's obviously reflected in the net worth on the heroes. I mean, sure, they're leading and they have a set of racks, but, you know, the net worths are inflated pretty heavily in favor of EG at this point, even on the supports and the off lane. So I'm looking at this as a perspective of the team fight versus kind of split pushy good late game meta. Team fight still really struggles a lot, even as well as Newbee played this.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a smoke on smoke action here.
Who will catch who? Lina in the front lines, kind of breaks the enemy smoke, but it's Faith. Telekinesis onto Sumail. That's the target they want. KP with a nice Ravage onto 3. They destroy Sumail, but it's Arteezy with the BKB on, trying to follow up the Universe RP. Not really a great fight for EG so far. The buyback from Sumail will come, but it won't be enough to save crit. Now U9 doing a lot of damage to Universe, but Force Staff does keep him alive. Zai slowed down by the Diffusal, looking for some blind, and it will actually keep him alive. EG having a lot of trouble finding kills in this fight. You see all the cores spread around looking for targets that aren't Tidehunter, and they just can't find it. It's a big fight for Newbee.
You can see the difference of the team fight when they're able to kill KP and when they're not. And I mean, sure, that one was like very chaotic, and Arteezy actually chased the Tide for quite a while, even after KP had already expended Ravage, so wasted a little bit of time. The BKB as well, coming out in the Lina, making it very hard to get disabled, and obviously blowing up Sumail like straight away as soon as the fight started, getting that Omni Slash off from U9 and making use of the like the chaotic initiation that EG just weren't expecting.
Yeah. And getting another buyback out of Sumail, hurting his economy just a little bit more. I mean, he's got the Battle Fury, so he does have a lot of farming prowess this game. But, you know, looking at net worth, he's right middle of the pack where, you know, ideally he'd like to be pulling away. But that's 2 buybacks out of Sumail now this game. Both of them quite costly. Arteezy moving into Satanic too.
I think the important thing, though, is that, you know, buying back in that situation means that he's allowed to split push the lanes. And even though there is a bit more pick-off potential right now on the side of Newbee than there was before, like the Orchid is done now on the Lina, so they have that Shadow Blade into potential Orchid, which currently Sumail does not have a defense for. He doesn't have a Manta, he doesn't have Lotus, you know, whatever.
Right.
So it's actually kind of scary for him at this point, because the Lina is coming into that state in the game where you potentially can solo kill somebody, especially once the full Bloodthorn is completed, because you do a lot of damage, especially with the talents that he's gone. You know, he's gone for the attack range, the damage, the Fiery Soul, increased attack speed and movement speed per stack. So he's transitioned into this kind of hybrid magic and right-click kind of hero.
So you think Sumail's going to need to alter this item build here? And maybe we'll hold that thought. Initiation now onto Arteezy. Follow-up, not quite there. KP blinks forward. but does not have the Ravage. Still on cooldown for another 5 seconds. Glyph now used to defend this tier 2 tower. It'll buy it a little bit of time as Arteezy tries to finish it off, and he will. That is the last outer tower now for Newbee. Destroyed. Maybe trying to find something on the retreat. Dust from Kaka. Yules now onto the Ricky. Universe looking for the skewer back, but can't quite get it. Tricks of the Trade almost finishes off Faith, but Omni Slash doing so much work on the back line. Down goes Universe. Ravage connects on one. The other two heroes BKB'd, but EG still not really putting out much damage. They've only been able to kill the Rubik, and that's it. Sumail now stunned up in the front line. Double LSA from Lina. Triple C pops the BKB, starts laying in the damage. They do lose the Juggernaut, but Lina still alive on the backside, doing so much damage to this Troll Warlord. So many auto attacks flying in. Arteezy in a lot of trouble. Roll forward from Kaka. Magnetize. That little bit of magic damage might be enough, but Arteezy, he's actually life-stealing through it. He turns and kills Kaka, and now he's going to head for the hills. Meanwhile, on the backside, Universe drops an RP. Skewer now back, and they will find the kill. EG somehow managed to clean this up, but it's another very sloppy fight. There was a buyback used by Universe there, so it's a 2 for 4 overall, but still a minor gain for Newbee considering the buyback.
Jesus, man, there were so many close calls in that fight. Roshan is going to be spawning like almost on key here, about 12 seconds left. So during the preliminary engagement, Zai just ran at Faith, killed him with the BKB, obviously had to commit the Tricks of the Trade as well to ensure that he dropped. But Universe still died without popping RP, that's why he had to buy back. He still had RP after the buyout, and which is why they were able to kill SCCC at the very end. But KP's Ravage actually missed on Arteezy by like, I want to say a quarter of a second. Like if he had been even just a minute second faster, he would have gotten the stun onto Arteezy and he would have died before Satanicus pops. And that would have been a gigantic win for Newbee. They would have been the one taking this Aegis right now.
Yeah.
And it could have been a completely different Dota game from that point on. I mean, I'm undervaluing, you know, how strong Newbee's lineup is at this point in the game, but they just keep showing time and time again, especially with this kind of hybrid right-click Lina, their damage output is still sufficient. They can kill heroes if they get the proper chain of initiation.
Yeah, absolutely. They give the Aegis to Universe this time. Arteezy low on inventory slots. Finish off the ward. Yeah, this Troll starting to look pretty capped out here. I guess Moonshard going to be picked up at some point. And now we see the big one. It's the Refresher on the Tidehunter. So now double Ravage going to be available on KP for the next fight.
This is actually becoming... So like there's this weird bell curve for Newbee's lineup, right? It's like really strong first 25, 30 minutes of the game. Then as soon as 10-second BKBs come out, it's pretty weak again. And then after that point, when Double Ravage comes out, and then there's only 5-second BKBs, their lineup hits another point in the game where it becomes really scary to fight into in a 5 versus 5. Now, EG can still adopt the split push kind of style, but there are also items being purchased on the side of Newbee that make it kind of scary to be split up. Like we talked about, you know, SCCC and his Lina and having the Shadow Blade, the potential Bloodthorn, and, you know, U9 having the Blink Abyssal soon.
Yeah.
So there are actually ways via itemization that Newbee are going to be able to start forcing engagements that before they didn't have access to. And because EG still haven't won the game and it's 50 minutes, you know, every hero starts to become more dangerous.
Yeah.
And now the double Ravage is like, even with a 6-slotted Troll, if you get Ravaged 2 times, you're probably still going to die.
Yeah, I mean, the Bloodthorn is also going to be a huge asset in terms of damage output. Locking down the Troll, a double Ravage plus a Bloodthorn, they will actually have the damage to kill him fairly easily. EG might look for an initiation, but no, it's actually the other way. Kaka goes rolling in, and it's a suicidal Earth Spirit as they quickly turn and just bring him down. It's kind of an unfortunate play.
What was that auto attack range? He actually hit him from like 400, 500 range with melee form.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Long time in the grave, though. It's 60 seconds and actually no buyback. Of course, EG don't know that, but pretty good window here.
I mean, I think they're going to be a little bit scared to just, you know, YOLO up the high ground. Although maybe they just assume that he doesn't have it.
Well, maybe they just want to try to force it. Arteezy goes up. Ravage comes out as the Omni Slash flies through, and the Troll is dead. There's the second Ravage, connects on the entire team. That's the reveal, and EG was not quite ready for it. They will lose 2. The 3 remaining survivors, however, will make it back, it seems. Jug blinks forward, maybe catches crit, but Glimmer Cape buys him some time. Universe, all of his mobility tools on cooldown, but he will have Force Staff. Never mind, he's got the blink, and he TP's home.
My God, that was a beautiful Ravage. That was like, what, 4 heroes?
I think so, yeah.
2 times? Yeah, they were definitely not ready for that one. To be honest, I'm not even sure if he needed to throw out the second one, but it looked cool. So, because the first one pretty much killed Arteezy. Like, he was dead pretty much before he hit the ground after the first Ravage anyway. But yeah, that was very,
now-
very nice. Yule's here.
Oh, do they catch Sumail? Able to jump to a Remnant. He'll make it into the fog, and BOTs will be up here in 1 second. He'll be fine. But 2 items were revealed in that last fight, to be perfectly fair for EG. Lina had just picked up the Bloodthorn, like, right before that started, and the Refresher had been out for maybe 2 minutes, but I think Tide had sort of hit off the map, was mostly in fog, so probably was not revealed, or at least wasn't very obvious on the side of EG. So, you know, maybe less likely Arteezy takes that kind of a posture to chip at the tower if he knows those 2 big items are up. Now Lotus Orb on the Magnus. Much needed tool at this stage.
Man, it is really hard to hit towers against Newbee's lineup.
Yeah.
Tidehunter is actually proving to be kind of the anchor. You know, no pun intended. But seriously, like he's keeping them in the game, pretty much. Just the threat of the Ravage again at this late game stage where, you know, you might even contemplate having to buy like Refresher on Troll just to get 2 5-second BKBs, because otherwise, you know, the magic immunity is just so low that you might not be able to win the fight in that 5 seconds anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Refresher Troll. Don't know if I've seen that one. He does have the Scotty, though.
It's really nice because you get the double Satanic, and then you get the double BKB on top of that. So it's kind of like during that time, if you properly overlap everything, you pretty much can't die, right?
Right.
Unless you get Abyssal or something like that.
And double Battle
Not to
Trance,
say,
too.
yeah, that's also pretty good. For the most part, though, it's really about just not getting disabled to death, pretty much.
Yeah, no
I guess
doubt.
to another point, you can just rely on your team. Hope that the Glimmer, the Lotus, the Solar Crest kind of keep you alive, because, you know, Crit has all of those. He's got every single freaking support item except for a 4-step at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty stacked Wind Ranger. I just recently hit level 20. Get some extra spell damage. The stalemate continues here, Draskell. Hell of a game 1 for this best-of-3 series. Neither side looking like they'll be able to close this out too easily.
It's just got to be super frustrating for Newbee because they're like flexing their muscles in these team fights and it looks like super impressive. Oh, okay, Kaka's going in.
Oh, Shackle latches onto a tree. RP from Universe on the back line. Ravage is available, but it's a stolen RP. All these little skirmishes now breaking out, but it's a buyback from the Lina, and EG will start to clean this up as KP drops the Ravage, but Sumail was BKB'd. He jumps further forward, and they're starting to clean this up. Juggernaut, the lone survivor here as Tide goes the other way. It's going to be a disaster for Newbee, and they will not have any buybacks left. Just as we say that, Draskell, this is almost like a GG moment here. Juggernaut's the only one that has a buyback. What happened? That was such an awkward fight. Why did Kaka start it like that?
I'm actually a bit unsure. I mean, they had vision. I think that's the biggest reason. Like, they had the ward on the high ground, so they're thinking, okay, let's fight because we actually have a vantage point and we understand where everyone is. But yeah, they're just going to go ahead and tap out. The problem is that the Refresher wasn't up.
Yeah.
Like, if they had 2 Ravages, I'm actually almost positive that they would have been able to turn that. Because they would have been able to stunlock the Troll Warlord to death instead of, you know, him popping back right up to full health, being able to pop the Satanic and keep in fighting shape. He also got a Glimmer as well. But yeah, like not waiting for the Refresher, I think that was kind of like the nail in the coffin for that team fight.
Yeah.
But then again, it was like 2 minutes still away when